Nah. Well, hello YouTube! I'm Coach Nate with the BladeFit Academy, and you're watching the Urban Bushcraft Hour, and I gotta tell you, today's topic is shields. Now, as you know, shields were a constant companion for our great fathers in times long ago. Now, fast forward to today in an urban bushcraft setting. Do you need a shield? Shields come in all different shapes and sizes. We have right here a medieval type shield. It's called a heater shield. I've got a big example back here of a very large type shield. This is what we refer to as a kite shield. Now, of course, a very iconic shield is the Viking shield as well. Now, right here in my hand, I have a little teeny mini shield, and it's called the buckler. Now, don't be fooled. There are powerful things that are coming out of the small package. This little buckler has a big impact on self-defense for those in the know who train with it. You could take this buckler places that you could not take a shield like this, or to stick it in my backpack. It's so impractical. There's no way. You can't go anywhere with this except for on campaign. Unacceptable. So getting back to the original question, do you need a shield? Well, we all know that there are legit practical applications for military and law enforcement. But what about private citizens? Well, to find out, I want to mix the power of the buckler and the iconic status of a Viking shield and mash them together into one amazing build. Enough talk. Let's get to building. Okay, so what I got here is this box from Amazon, and we have these different shield bosses. I got those two the same on purpose and that one different. I also got some cool nails that I'm going to be, these are supposed to be like wrought iron nails. I think they're actually mild steel. So I'm going to try these out, see how they go. This is a 1/4 inch, see how thin it is, birch plywood. And I like it because it's very tough and it's very light. What I do is I take these 1/4 inch pieces of plywood and I stack them together. I stack 2 of these to make 1/2 inch of plywood and wood glue them, and I stick them in a press. After that is all set up, you get something very strong. Here I have my overall, my blanks, right? My decks, if you will, of the bucklers that I'm making. These are going to be a little bit larger bucklers, and we can compare. See, this all plastic buckler is made by Cold Steel. These are really nice and quite popular, but one thing I don't like about them is anytime you're practicing, the swords tend to bounce off of this plastic. This is a a polypropylene plastic. It seems to bounce off of these very readily. They're cheap. That's the nice thing about them, but again, they do have their limitations. All right, Nate, then why did you choose these shallow profile bowls? And the reason being is I wanted the overall profile of the steel to be minimal when I'm making these, with the idea that the swords are expensive that we use. I wanted a soft alloy here so that the harder steel practice swords won't get dinged up so much by this. But I also wanted the cross section of the metal on metal to be as small as possible. I'm making these with the specific concern in mind to make sure that when you're practicing with this guy, that your steel swords get less wear and tear. The wood also is nice because the steel is going to stick a little bit to this, especially because I'm going to be laminating these with like a linen material. And so that should help with the stickiness, right? So there's going to be a little bit of bite into these. So stay with me. Hopefully you enjoy the progress as much as me. So, not bad. We'll clean that up. People used to trust their very lives with this type of material. Okay, so I've got my, not sure if you can see that, but I've got my holes, and now I'm gonna drill my pilot holes there. All right, here we go. Okay, so on this side we've got our nails that I'm using as rivets, and then I have these two here which I'm leaving open, and the reason why is that's going to be for the handle, right? For the handle, and I got to make that soon. So I got these guys. So what we're gonna do, I'm going to fork them over, bend them over, and it's gonna make this nice and tight. So it's kind of like a lazy rivet. But it works really well, just as good as a regular rivet, and it's very labor friendly, if you know what I mean. It doesn't take near as long to accomplish that. I love it when it comes together. See, it's really starting to come together. Okay, there we go. They look pretty good there. And these are pretty flush. So we'll clean those up a little bit so they're nice and flush. And yeah, I'm excited about that method. Works pretty darn well, and it looks great. It looks really good up here. This is nice and firm on here. It's stiff, doesn't rattle, and I still have my pilot holes are still in line, so I like this. I like this a lot. It's a good method. Alright guys, I just wanted to keep you updated here. This is the next step of the buckler. It almost looks like a little mini Viking shield, doesn't it? Well, it's not a Viking shield, it is a buckler, although I suppose it could be pressed into service as a mini Viking shield. But anyway, I wanted to show you this. I'm very proud of this. So this is a hickory wood handle, I felt like doing a little bit of extra artistry. So this is done with my Dremel drill and a lot of patience. Okay guys, this is what I have thus far. So the hand-carved handles are in place, and you can see that they are riveted or nailed into place. And this works really, really nice. It fits so pretty. The next step is going to be prepping these guys with the holes. And also I'm going to put the rope around. And then after I get the holes drilled in this and then the rawhide over here, then we're going to put the holes in, put the rawhide on, and after that we're going to paint the whole thing. So I'm really excited to show you the next steps. Done. Okay. So I got to do 3 more of these, or sorry, 2 more of these. You always have to sink in a lot of time, and anytime you're wrapping a shield, it probably, to my estimation, is the one thing that takes the most time by far out of preparing these shields. It's a little tedious, but it's very rewarding. At the end, you get this nice shield, you got this nice edge, it's very strong to take hits. And another thing that's nice about it is when a sword hit and it's glancing off, it does catch a little bit on the rawhide, so it didn't just slide off the shield and then hit you somewhere. So that's a really nice thing about that, and let's not underestimate that. Now we're going to use this most excellent paint, this black paint. This is furniture paint. Now I think these turned out fantastic. I love the color scheme. There's 5 layers of painting on here. I had to paint and let it dry and then paint and let it dry and paint and let it dry, and well, you get the idea. But at any rate, the camera ran dead and I kept going. I worked well into the night, and so I'm sorry that my regret is that you guys didn't see how I painted these, but the ends speak for themselves. I dumped a lot of time into it, and I was just feeling the COVID-19 blues, and yeah, just check out that paint job. I think it did rather well. Now, not to lose sight of the ultimate mission, right? Let's compare the sizes here, okay? So here's I don't want to say this is a typical buckler, but yeah, I mean, you know, popular bucklers are about this size. Now this is an oversized buckler, but it's still quite small for a shield. And so here, like so, and it definitely, there are sources that have bucklers about this size. Now let's compare this with, say, a heater shield again. You see, you could see the difference. Boy, I can't even get it in the camera frame. It's so big. You can see that the coverage on this buckler is still quite a lot, but not nearly as large as this heater shield example that I've got. And this is a pretty typical size for a heater shield. There were some smaller ones and there were some larger ones. Now, just for fun, let's compare this shield for this buckler. So just so you get an idea of the size of bucklers and the size of different shields. Now I think our ultimate goal of crossing a buckler with a Viking shield was quite a success. You know, you can see that the shield boss on this one is rather big. The shield boss, I wanted to make this a low profile. And the Viking shields are huge. I mean, they could be like 40 inches around, and this thing is not even 18.5. So this is half the size of a Viking shield. And there's some pretty cool applications that I could use with this. I could use this indoors. If I have a large enough bag, I could store this in a bag. I could put this in my car in the back seat or my truck. And since it's not a weapon, you know, I'm not going to get in trouble by law enforcement if they happen to peek through my window. But guys, I mean, you know, you never know. You run into you know, you get into some trouble on the road, and you run into someone who's just absolutely out of their mind and they want to do harm to you. Well, I mean, you know, you can hold them back with this thing if you felt so inclined. Now, laws vary. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not telling you what to do. But you know, if you feel threatened, this might be an excellent tool to keep them away from you. This could certainly take punishment from a tire iron much better than you can, and of course, this boss is protecting your hand. Anyway, there's all kinds of applications that I can envision. Now, I understand that in the United States, firearms are readily available, and I would not recommend this as a go-to for self-defense in that situation. However, you just never know what kind of threat level you're going to be facing. So maybe you do want this as part of your potential self-defense kit for your homestead. And in other countries where firearms are not readily available, you know what? Maybe you do want a little oversized buckler to be handy for you to take care of business. And sometimes it's just getting that person who is out of their mind just a little bit away from you, or present something, you know, a stiffer, a harder target, as it were, so that they go away and do something else. So anyway, I could see a lot of applications with this. This makes anyone look a whole lot meaner, a whole lot tougher, whether you are or not. So just simply by having something like this, I could see would diffuse a lot of situations. And the cool thing is I actually got to test both of these things yesterday with my good buddy David Hebron. Thanks, David, if you're watching, for such an awesome time. It was fantastic. We got to put these things through their paces, and they were a lot of fun. Certainly, we will be doing that more. You'll be seeing these in a lot more videos that I present for the BladeFit Academy and for other things. What do you think of this oversized buckler? Comment below. Tell me what you think of this paint scheme. Is this something that you like, or are you more traditional? Since I like to do historic European martial art, I chose to use materials that were readily found in the medieval era. However, in a modern context, you do not have to use these materials to make yourself a buckler. Now, the shield bosses you could get online at various different places. You have a lot of choices. There's even some plastic ones out there. If you decide you don't want metal, it does make it a little hefty, a little heavier. Although certainly you can hold it out, and with a little bit of training, it's not an issue. There's those big plastic barrels that SCA guys use all the time. You can cut up one of those with not a whole lot of tooling, and you can make yourself a shield that way. And those guys have years and years and years of experience bashing their shields with oversized rattan swords. So that is a proven source to a shield that might work. You don't have to use rawhide if you don't want to. Maybe you don't want an edging at all. Maybe what you could do is just put a lot of wood glue and let that cure, and then put it over again and let it cure to create a little wood glue bead. Or maybe you want to use, see, I've got canvas here, maybe you just want to put some canvas strips and wood glue that into place, and maybe put several layers on so you've got a little bit of a lip, a little bit of a bead. You could do that. Anyway, you just have to understand the materials that you're working with. There's all kinds of options. So tell me your ideas below, guys. I really want to hear what you have to say. There's a lot of urban bushcrafters who just want to know what's going on. Without further ado, I've talked your ear off. I'm Nate McBride. This is the Urban Bushcraft Hour, and always remember to slay your demons, and I'll catch you next time. Take care, YouTube.